Hello, Keith Walker speaking. This is the video clip for the core readings for week 8. That's chapter 1 and chapter 2 from the Entrepreneurship textbook. I won't go through them, I won't read them to you, you can do that for yourself. But I would like to point out a few things that I think are fairly important for you to take away from the readings. One of the things that's most important is that an entrepreneur is somebody who creates or takes advantage of an opportunity. You'll see that listed on page 5 of your textbook about the opportunity of being available for an entrepreneur to do something. And to give you an example, if you have a quick look at the figure 1.1 on page 6, and it's a schematic key elements of entrepreneurship. Now, from your readings, you know that the entrepreneur is a French word, means to bring together or create. And if you put your minds back to 16th or 17th century France, and no, Willie and I weren't there at the time, and think of the situation where the king's announced that he's going to have a new hunting lodge, and you're an entrepreneurial person, and you think to yourself, oh, here's an opportunity, and you go to the king and you talk to the king and you say, look, if you let me build a bridge across the creek next to your hunting lodge, you can come across the creek with your party from Paris, your group of friends, and you can go hunting in the forest for the deer. Now bear in mind that in 16th, 17th century France, the king considered everything to be his anyhow. All the land, all the people, all the deer, everything. And he was an omnipotent power. So you would have these discussions very carefully with the king. And to create the deal, you would tell the king that he could have free passage across this bridge. If he wanted to go across to hunt deer with his hunting parties, they could go across this bridge to the other side to the forest and hunt deer, and they wouldn't have to get their feet wet or get muddy, or they wouldn't have to take a 10-kilometre trip detour down some other path to get across there. And so the king says, yes, that's a good idea, you can build me on my bridge, I will let you do that, and it won't cost me a single cent, or a franc in this case. And so there you are. So you've got this agreement, you can have a bridge across the creek, the king's given it to you. So off you go then, and you go off and you see 2 other people. You go and talk to the guy that's got the franchise on the timber, and you talk to a farmer there who produces a lot of produce. Back again, that had dropped out there. The video dropped out. So here you are, you're off chatting to 2 other people. You're talking to the guy with the franchise for the timber, and you're talking to a local farmer who has a lot of produce. So you go to them and you say to them, look, if they put up the money to build this bridge, you will let them go across the bridge for free. Now the farmer thinks that's a really good idea because he can get his produce to market a lot quicker than his competitors. So he says, yes, I will put up some money for this. And the timber guy says, yeah, I'll put up some money too, because if the king's going to build a new hunting lodge there, he'll need timber, and my timber then will be the quickest he can get his hands on, and therefore the cheapest, and that will be good. So here you have this situation. The guy that's got the idea, the entrepreneur, he's got no money, he's got no timber, no building skills, but he's managed to stitch together this deal where there's a bridge being built with the agreement of the king, supported by the finances of the farmer, and supported by the skill set and the finances of the timber person. So yeah, they build the bridge. Now, in addition to that, what he does get, then he also gets the franchise to have, he talks to a local tavern guy and says, look, I'm going to build a bridge here. The king's people will come across it, they'll be thirsty. Would you like to build a tavern next to the end of my bridge? And he says, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then he talks to somebody who's got horses, and away you go. So this entrepreneur has pulled together all these elements of this business deal, put them all together, and he then reaps the rewards of getting the fees by being able to charge people to cross the bridge. Now, because people then can get access to market faster, they will pay a fee as a commercial transaction. The people that have decided that it's in their own interest to build a bridge are happy to be co-partners of the bridge, and the king's happy because he's getting the prestige of being able to go across a bridge with his hunting group in to hunt deer or whatever's in the forest, and nobody has to get their feet wet or muddy, and because he travels for free, the prestige is there for him. So that's another part of the video. It's dropping out unfortunately for a student. So as I said, so there's your bridge. It's been put up. You've got people financing it. You've got the king travelling across it, giving his royal decree that the bridge can be built across this river. and you have an entrepreneur who's the person in the middle who's brought everything together and is benefiting from that. Now, if you think that's an old-fashioned story, any of you that are based in Sydney will know about Sydney Airport, and you'll know the developments that are going on at Sydney Airport now. So the idea is still relevant today. People buy the rights, which they bought from the federal government, to own the airport, which is Sydney Airport, and then they're doing all sorts of other things on the land, etc. at Sydney Airport to increase their finances, including increasing the shopping, increasing the parking, building office buildings, etc., etc. So that's a little illustration, if you will, to try and let you understand how that diagram might work in the real world. Now, one of the things too we've got to appreciate, I want you to appreciate, and perhaps my little story has illustrated that, is that none of these things happen in a vacuum. Entrepreneurs, this is from page 10, entrepreneurs do not operate in a vacuum. They respond to their environments. Now, the little story I gave you about a French entrepreneur in the 16th, 17th century and a bridge across a river for the king is an example of that. He would have had to pull together all those different elements. The people to build the bridge, the people to finance the bridge, the permission of the king to build the bridge, sell it to the king, so there's some advantage for him, so he would want to agree to that sort of thing. And so that's an example of the fact that you can't do these things in a vacuum at all. Now, the other part of the things that I want to stress too is the importance of entrepreneurs to economic growth. You'll see that on page 14, relationship between entrepreneurs and economic growth. You know, in Australia in particular now, it's become a bit of a conversation piece for our politicians, entrepreneurial and all this sort of thing. But the reality of it is, it's the way the world works. People come up with ideas to do something better, a better service, a better product, and they go ahead and regardless of what the market might want, they go ahead and put these changes into the marketplace, produce their better whatever it is. And a classic example of that is the slide phone, the smartphone, which Steve Jobs brought to the market in 2007, which is 10 years ago now, but back then it was radical. Now, he hadn't invented the phone. He hadn't invented even the slide technology. I think there was another company that had that at the time. But what he did do, he put it together in a format that caught people's attention. It has taken off to the point now where the smartphone is one of the basic communication devices of people today, including particularly younger people. They've got used to looking at their things on their smartphone, and from that now there's a whole other lot of industries that are coming to grow, which is the mobile data industry, telco industries, apps. Apps didn't exist prior to the slide phone, so now suddenly the app industry is as big as anything, and so this gives you an idea of how it improves the finances around the world. I mean, they even build cars nowadays. Car manufacturers now build them with an iPhone takeoff, so you can just get into the car and put your iPhone on and plug it straight into the car system for your sound system or whatever it is that you want to use. One more thing that I will refer to from that chapter too is just the politics of it. Politics, obviously there's politics as we know it in the democratic sense where you vote for governments and things like this, but it also can be the politics inside the organisation you're working for. That means that because you've had a good idea, it doesn't mean necessarily that your boss wants to go along with it for whatever reason. So there's always, when you come up with your entrepreneurial idea, there's always the requirement to sell that idea. If you really believe in it and you're able to, you'll step away from the company, you'll leave the company and go and take your entrepreneurial idea off and you'll have a go at it for yourself. That's a common trait of entrepreneurs, that they're risk takers, they will take calculated risks. That runs us into chapter 2. And one of the things there, I suppose, it gives you an entrepreneur in a nutshell is on page 37. And you'll see the characteristics of an entrepreneur and behaviourist approach. You'll see there that entrepreneurs have self-confidence, risk-taking propensity, flexibility, independence of mind, etc., etc. Quite an extensive list. So they're the traits of an entrepreneur. In other words, they're not put off just because someone says they can't do something. They're not put off because it's risky. That's what creates an entrepreneur. He'll have a go, he'll back himself or herself and back the idea that he or she has and put it into the marketplace and actually let the marketplace determine whether it's a successful operation or not. Also, again, from chapter 2, you'll see the opportunity comment comes up again, and it talks in terms of both creative and existing opportunities. The reason I'm talking about these is because nobody knows exactly what the next entrepreneurial idea will be. Entrepreneurs take things that are already existing in the real world and improve them and market them to the market and become successful, as against an inventor or a discoverer or somebody who mines gold or something like that, and those sort of prospects. So enjoyed reading those 2 chapters. They set the foundation. We'll get into more details about the entrepreneurship as we go through. Again, these are important aspects of the course. I particularly like you to pay attention to the characteristics one, so that you can sort of feel au fait with those. And I'm going to put up, Willie will put up here after this a video clip, and it's the simplest thing on the planet. It's carrots, believe it or not. But these people, it demonstrates to you how you can take something that's been around for years, carrots, centuries, and it's in the farming context. The people come up with the idea, then people invest millions to take that idea to market, and basically they lift the product value of their material from $5 to $50 a kilogram, which is an astronomical improvement in your base price of your product. So have a look at that. It's to demonstrate that entrepreneurial ideas are around you all the time. Sometimes they've been under your nose for years, and suddenly it's necessity that makes you need to require it. So have a look at that. I hope you enjoyed these first 2 chapters, setting the foundation for these, and I look forward to talking to you later. Bye.